Hi, I'm Professor Beck Strah.
And I'm Professor Eric Bronson. And this is Prison Breakdown.
2, 3, break!
Hate to spoil his fun, but we're gonna bust out of here.
2, 3, break!
I'm locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
2, 3, break!
I can honestly say I'm a changed man. No danger to society here. God's honest truth.
2, 3, break!
I'm not leaving this cell. I'll get out my way. The right way.
2, 3, break!
Ahoy, dudes! Welcome back to another episode of Prison Breakdown. Joining me on the pirate ship are my two mateys. Hello, Producer Brit.
Oh, wait.
Hello, Eric Bronson.
Sorry. You got
Don't
all
be
excited.
sorry at all. It was cool.
I got all excited when you started talking about mates and all, on the pirate ship.
Well, matey, how are you doing?
I'm great. You know me. I love the weather.
You love to talk about weather.
I love to talk about the weather. And one of the things that is just an absolute highlight of my life is when there's severe weather, and we have so little severe weather in Rhode Island that while we're having some severe weather, I get all happy and excited inside. And so since we're having this big nor'easter that is just pounding away at the coast and lots of wind snapping limbs out there and driving rain, that just gets me all in my happy place.
Be real. Do you appreciate the opportunity to not leave the house?
Oh, I did leave. I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we made a little family trip yesterday up to New Hampshire and drove back through this yesterday with one of these monster bike racks on the back of the vehicle with 4 bikes standing real tall, and it made my SUV feel like it was a kite getting blown around, I-93. So I don't know. That's one of the number one things I miss about living in Texas is the severe weather. We hardly ever have thunderstorms here. Our storms are boring. It comes in with a little whimper.
You like the excitement of knowing you could die from the weather.
Yes.
That's what it is.
I want to go out there. That I think we've talked about this where, if we could pick a way to go out, I want to get struck by lightning.
Oh, that's a dope way to go. Okay.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. There's also a potential that you might gain some kind of powers from this whole thing.
True.
That's right. That's right. I could crack mirrors, right? If I yell at them or something and count.
I think that already happens when you look at it.
Oh,
snap,
damn.
Oh,
Damn, son.
Talk about a gut punch. I was going to ask you how you're doing, so let's go to Brit. Producer Brit, how are you doing today?
Producer
Fuck
Brit.
that other guy.
Yeah,
Hey, that's me.
Producer Brit's doing well. It's going pretty good over here in the producer corner. Just producing stuff, Yeah, it's the weather's kind of not great here. It's down into the 50s. We're fully in the swing of fall here now, which means rain. But it's a pretty clear day today. It's in 54, so a little cold out, but not too bad. Not too bad.
Nice.
How do you two feel about making a crackling fire in that fireplace of yours?
I don't have a fireplace.
If you did.
I'm fine with it. They're fine.
Eric?
Well, big fan of making a fire. How about you?
Dude, making fires are dope. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, really into it. It's I don't know, keeps the house nice and toasty, and it staves off that the cold, wet damp. Yes. Feeling it.
Yep. And this old house that we bought does have 2 fireplaces.
Oh, it's one of those old houses where it's like from the 17 or 1800s where there's a fireplace in your bathroom or something.
Yeah, it's built in 1820. So yeah, there's one on both sides of the lower floor. So it's nice.
Dude, that is some colonial shit. That rolls.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about who used to own your house? Did you look into the history of it?
Yeah, we did a little bit when, it started off as the farmhouse that for all the land that on the street that we live on, the neighborhood that we're in. So it was the farmhouse back in the 1800s. And don't know much about those folks, but there is, and we should do an episode on this, but there is a unique bricking in our basement that some of the folks from the town historical society say was there because this house was used during the Underground Railroad and to also, so it had to do with, okay, maybe it was used to free some folks, but then it also had to do with moving some whiskey during Prohibition. Because it just, that backyard goes right out to the water. So they said, oh yeah, that was there. And they had to brick it up later after they stopped running whiskey out of there.
Yo, you had a Prohibition house.
Yeah. Well, who the hell knows? I don't know if they're making it up. There's a way to confirm it.
That's true. Now, with a house this old, do you think it's haunted? Have you experienced any hauntings?
No.
Boring,
No.
dude. I was hoping
Boring,
you'd have a
but
cool
you got to
haunting
remember,
story.
I don't believe in any of that crap. So I'm never, even if something happened, I wouldn't say, oh yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to believe in it for it to happen.
Other than clearly just my face scaring the shit out of everyone. Damn, Beck.
I didn't say that. I just said it broke a mirror. You're putting words in my mouth, dog. Well, before we move on to some news, I would like to thank a certain special someone out there. And that someone is you, Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies. I give you a rose for your patronage. Thank you for supporting this year podcast.
Wow.
What can you tell me about Roger Williams University's School of Justice Studies, Eric?
Wow. That's awfully nice that you're giving them that, but it's also nice that they, are lending some support. But that School of Justice Studies is a special place with the degrees that they offer. So for those folks that are looking for degrees in legal studies, criminal justice, forensic science, sociology, anthropology, political science, international affairs, that it's just a great place to come if you're interested in anything related to the study of justice, which is something that's bigger than this idea of criminal justice. Just making sure that the right things happen for the right reasons and to the right people is very important. And so all of these majors that are grouped together really focused on that idea of the concept of justice. And, what better place than Roger Williams, where all of these are collected together in one school at one university.
Thank you, Roger Williams University School of Justice Studies. And one sidebar for you. Do you think there's ever been like an extremely dumb philanderer who has been like international affairs? That sounds sexy. And has enrolled in the program.
So it's like, well, I get an education and I get to cheat on my wife?
Wow, in Belarus? Wow.
Excellent pull. Belarus is the funniest punchline for countries.
Yeah. Glad
now,
I could, carry some, a little bit in the podcast here.
Oh, please. You always do, my friend. You are,
right,
we're co-hosts with the co-most.
Absolutely.
So let me tee myself up here.
I think we're heading
something
towards the direction of something important. Maybe we're heading towards some fresh, hot, sexy news
on the horizon.
Right off the razor wire.
Land ho.
Fresh news, hot off the razor wire.
All right, here it comes. It's time for an update. All right. I don't like how my co-hosts were staring at me while I jammed to this update song.
Mm-hmm.
The jam was real too. I wish there are times where there's no need for us to ever have video on this podcast, but this is one of those times I'm like, boy, but would our listeners love to see you jam?
Oh, I can bust a groove, dude.
I know, I've seen. We're in New Orleans, remember?
Oh yeah. Your boy likes to dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So today we are having our final update on the New Orleans jailbreak that happened May 16th, 2025. And what happened is the last of the 10 escapees has been arrested. There was just one escapee left, this 28-year-old named Derek Groves. He had been convicted on 2 counts of second-degree murder after killing 2 people last October. It was a double shooting that happened in the 2018 Mardi Gras. And dude had also pleaded guilty to manslaughter in 2 separate cases. Now, this guy, Derek Groves, he was turned in Georgia. Somebody called the tip into Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans. Crime Stoppers of Greater New Orleans was I believe they're a nonprofit who had been offering a $50,000 reward for his capture.
Snitch.
Right. And so the tips from Crime Stoppers actually paid off, and it resulted in the arrest of 5 of the escapees, including him. And he gets captured October 8th by an Atlanta SWAT team. The cops took on this tip. They showed up at a house. They found him inside. They threw off some gas canisters to try and force his movement within the house. And then a K9 unit tracked him down into the crawl space of the house. There was nobody home during his apprehension. And there was video footage that showed him. He was like blowing a kiss to the camera as he's being lugged into a police cruiser. So I like his swagger. Like, if you're going to get arrested, do it with swagger, dude.
Hey, that's an impressive amount of time to be out on the run, evading, nobody lasts that long. Jeez.
No, he must have had a great disguise guy making some cool wigs and facial hair and stuff like
or
that.
Some really trustworthy peeps that were hiding them out.
Yeah. Except for whoever snitched, apparently.
Yeah. Well, we know what happens with them.
They probably get $50,000 and go on living their life actually.
They'll never collect that, but they are going to get some stitches. Somebody's going to shank that ass.
Yeah.
So the police are still investigating possible accomplices in the case. You don't escape and stay on the run for 5 months and not have a little bit of help. There was one employee of the sheriff's office who already has been arrested a few months ago. Her name's Dariana Burton. She was his girlfriend, and she was arrested in June on conspiracy to commit escape. There was another jail employee. Inmates had threatened this jail employee. They said, we're going to shank you if you don't turn the water off. And he's like, oh, okay. And he maintains that he thought they had a clogged toilet. So he got arrested. And other fugitives have been charged with something called accessory after the fact. This is for transporting fugitives, supplying them with food, cash, phones, other gear. But Derek Groves, after he was caught, the dude was extradited back to Louisiana, where he will be held at Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola.
Maybe we see him in the spring.
Yes. You hear that, students?
Yeah.
Your boys want to get another class going to Louisiana State Penitentiary.
Spring trip.
A spring fling, as they say. It's not an international affair.
No. It's a national affair. It's not a study abroad or public affairs. International affairs. It is a study away.
Do you think there's anyone who enrolls for a study abroad who's like, hey, I thought this was a study abroad?
Where are all the broads at?
It's only guys in this class. All right, enough of that. The other major news that happened this week in corrections is, are you too familiar with a band called Lost Prophets?
Oh, yes. Unfortunately.
So their singer, Ian Watkins, dude was arrested in 2013 on so many charges related to just sex offenses against children, including like possession of child pornography, making child pornography.
Oh. Wait, was he a pastor?
No, he was the lead singer for this group that
for like a new metal group
shortly after his arrest in 2013. But he'd been arrested on all these child sexual assault charges, and he was killed in prison this last week. After some reports say it's a fight, others say he was assaulted and he had his throat slashed with some kind of shiv or knife, and it's still being investigated further. I'm going to cut my discussion of it there because I think he would be interesting topic if we ever want to do a Rocktober in the future.
Yeah.
Yep. But so Ian Watkins dead at I don't know. I think he was like 36 or something. That's a guess. Don't quote me on that. Why did I say his age? I didn't even have to say his age.
No, you really didn't.
He's dead.
Yeah.
And so you can look forward to an episode next year to do with that.
Yeah.
Also, I do want to. We didn't acknowledge it last time, but it's been a solid 2 years of doing this podcast.
It has.
Yeah. So I think on our next episode, maybe we need, celebratory cupcakes. I don't know, because we can't have a cake to cut. I don't know.
Do we do a celebratory clip show? Is the question.
Oh, people love clip shows. Or do we do a rap or like a "We Didn't Start the Fire" type song where we just talk about where somebody mentions all the the we came up with?
That's
Producer Brit. Let's talk
idea.
later. You and I.
Exactly. I think either way, it's an easy lift for you and I there, Professor.
Yeah. That's all Brit work here.
Why
am I suggesting this?
I'm a good rapper, as we have established in our Alligator Alcatraz Part 1. Now, I would like to propose we get into something we call the main event.
Jocktober for this.
Jocktober, 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 Jocktober.
Welcome to Jocktober Part 2, everybody. This is going to be
let's take a moment.
Yes.
Really appreciate that.
Let's soak that in.
I mean, that jock jams. I mean, that gets the juices flowing. That people are ready to go.
Yeah.
Jocktober.
Jocktober. They're jumping around. They're bumping into each other and screaming.
Yeah.
About people running races.
Yeah. Running races. That's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Is a race runner. And this is going to be my very first podcast that I've written. I mean, for this podcast, I've written hundreds of podcasts, but
But hot dog. Welcome to the fold.
Yeah, right. So let's see how this goes. Let's see if I still got the magic.
Oh,
all right.
The charm.
The podcast power. Today we are going to be talking about a guy named Oscar Pistorius. So, Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius, that's 4 names. That's right, everybody.
It's too many names.
Too many names. Was born on November 22nd of 1986 in Sandton, Johannesburg, South Africa. Pistorius was born with a condition called fibular hemimelia, which is a congenital absence of the fibula, one of the 2 main bones in the lower leg. So, resultantly, at 11 months old, Oscar's legs were amputated halfway between the knees and the ankles.
So he has this on both legs.
Yes, both legs. It's what's called a T43, which is a medical and like sports classification for a certain type of disability, which is double amputation under the knees. But we'll actually talk about those classifications a little bit later because it becomes partially important to his sports story. So, a middle child to a middle-class white South African family in the 80s and 90s, Oscar otherwise enjoyed a very comfortable childhood and, by all recollections, attended like upper-class schools and consequently got into upper-class sports such as rugby, water polo, and tennis. as well as wrestling, which isn't so upper class, but it was just surprising to me that a double amputee could wrestle. But,
Yeah, because your legs are so instrumental for wrestlers. Hey, Eric, chime in. How often do you use your legs when wrestling? When we wrestle each other?
Yes.
Well, yeah, I was going to say when we do all the time, the hip thrust. But no, there are plenty of examples of individuals who have amputated a leg or an arm and continue to wrestle. In fact, one was I'm gonna have to look him up. And what was his name? He wrestled at Arizona State and was a national champ.
Oh, wow.
That he had Anthony Robles, and he won the national championship in 2011 for the 125-pound weight class. And in college, I mean, it was phenomenal to watch him. But it's not completely uncommon. I imagine with Pistorius and how his age, I imagine that would be something that would have been pretty unique back then. But
I mean, we'll get a little bit in more history, but there's actually a fairly long history going back into the early 20th century of people with prosthetics competing in like high level sports, including the Olympics. So a gym owner once said that it took him 6 months to notice that young Oscar Pistorius had no legs, saying that like he didn't let it just hold him back at all, and he just like always wore long pants, and he just could never notice because he competed on such a high level. So if you guys had no legs, what sports do you think you'd be into?
Ooh, let me think. Table tennis.
That requires a lot of legs, like a lot of darting back and forth.
Is there like a chair sport? Esports. Bass.
I mean, there's a wheelchair basketball and wheelchair rugby and all the wheelchair sports.
Like
one of the greatest documentaries ever was Murder Ball.
Yeah, that is a great documentary.
Yeah, it's just that's phenomenal about quadriplegics or paraplegics and well, I guess they're all quad, because it's quad rugby. Quadriplegics and wheelchairs. Phenomenal.
I haven't heard of Murder Ball at all since its release as a documentary years ago. I assume it's still a sport that's played nationally.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't it also like it was a plot point in Friday Night Lights, if I remember correctly, as well.
Oh yeah.
And this is only because I happen to be around the ice rink so much, but one of my kiddos' coaches was a sled hockey player. So, and he just flying around helping the kids on his sled. I probably would still fall significantly and hit my head many times doing that. So I don't know if that might be dangerous.
Well, so
as far as sports though, I think weightlifting. I think I could do like upper body weightlifting.
Sure.
And build like some awesome quads. Other than that, Eric, what would you choose?
Yeah, I think I'd go with either the quad rugby or the sled hockey. Yeah, one of those two. I don't know.
What about you, Brit?
I'd get like I'd start like MMA and just get like big knives for legs.
Oh, there you go.
Tight.
I'd be undefeatable. Undefeatable.
I think that's disqualifying. I think it's cool.
What? Because of my disability? You're going to qualify me because of my disability?
You're violating some ADA policy there,
right.
Bud. Gotta let me fight.
Yeah. So, following a knee injury from rugby when he was 16, Oscar was introduced to running while undergoing rehabilitation at University of Pretoria's High Performance Center. Under coach Ampy Liu, he never looked back. Now, I need to point out that this amputee's coach's name is Ampy.
Ooh, do you think that's his birth name?
Yeah, that's his actual name is Ampy Lou.
It's poetic in a weird way, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah,
Eric, chime in. Save me.
Well, it's pretty damn unique.
Yeah, it's an interesting name to have.
Yeah.
So Pistorius started his running career competing specifically in what's called T44 events, which are for single below-the-knee amputees. Now, he is what's technically a T43, which is double below-the-knee amputee. And apparently, like, it's a lot more difficult to run usually with, like, a double below-the-knee amputation stuff. But the technology was getting better for prosthetics, and, he was fitted with some special prosthetics made by American engineer Van Phillips called the Flex Foot Cheetah. And these are the blades that you see in like most famous photographs of the guy. And he consequently gained the nickname Blade Runner for running on these blades.
If I can interject for just a moment, we talked about how it was weird that his coach's name is Ampy. It would be weird if this guy Van Phillips drove a van in that same way.
That would be very strange, yeah. So, interestingly enough, there was a T44 single below-the-knee amputee that competed in the 1904 Olympics. His name was George Iser, and he won 6 medals in track and field, including 3 gold medals. So there was like a precedence for, disabled folks playing very high-level sports, and so Pistorius sees this. He sees George Iser and a couple other people who competed at a very high level, and he was like, you know what? I think I want to do this. And so he gets, like Forrest Gump, he gets to running.
Hell yeah. Hey, let me ask, is there any unfair advantage at all that it could convey having the blades?
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. I got that. So Oscar blew up big. Immediately he was setting Paralympic world records at the 200 meter. And he would go on to compete and place, but not usually win non-disabled running events. But he's still setting Paralympic world record times in like the qualifying rounds. It's around this time that he gets the nickname Blade Runner. Now, this does not come without some controversy. In November of 2007, Pistorius was observed by a team of scientists at the German Sports University Cologne, wherein they found that Pistorius uses approximately 25% less energy than other runners to cover similar distances. Because of this, Pistorius was barred from competing for qualification rounds in the 2008 Summer Olympics. But Pistorius appealed this decision to a different sports governing authority and won. And he won because they found that the German Sports University Cologne only tested him on like straight tracks, which don't really, in the 200 and 400 meter, the track is curved, right?
Right.
And so it's not like a straight sprint. And so because he had previously placed and like gotten records in the 200 and 400 meter, they were like, this isn't actually like testing the real conditions. So they overturned it, and he was allowed to compete in the qualifying rounds for the 2008 Olympics. However, he did not make the cut that year. He did, however, absolutely sweep that year's Paralympics. I think getting the gold medal in the 200 and 400 meter. Pistorius kept on grinding, though, and 4 years later, he finally made the cut for the 2012 Summer Olympics in both the 400 meter and the 4x400 meter relay, finishing 8th in both, but becoming like a backup. And so by this time, Pistorius was living high on the hog, with over $2 million a year in sponsorship deals from companies like Nike and Oakley.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, right? So he's an 8th place competitor making over $200 million a year in sponsorship deals, which, I'm not sure he would have been making that if he had legs, but good for him. But he's like a success story. He's like something inspirational, because how many T43, T44 people are competing in the Olympics? Not many at all, like 3 or 4 in history. So.
Right, we don't hear about them very often, and it's such a unique. It seems like he's good to the point where he's like good running against other persons in the T43, T44 class, and he's a competitor even with I guess regularly abled persons.
Right. And although there is an element of unfair competition to what he's doing, there's also proof that he does have and he has a disability too, it's like he has to remake running. He has to recreate that for himself and figure out an entirely new way to do it. So I don't see why he should be barred. He's not using like any actual like real machines or anything here to assist him. Like he's not like gas powered or anything like that. He doesn't have to plug himself in to run.
That would be crazy. But it's interesting in that running probably means something different for him than it does like anybody else in the world for what
absolutely.
He's doing.
Yeah. So he's doing well at this point in life. But you know what? We're not that type of podcast. We're not here to talk about the good times or his successes. No, that's not us.
Let's talk about somebody with millions of dollars totally shitting their life.
On the morning of February 14th, 2013, Oscar Pistorius alerted the police to his home saying there had been a shooting. When the police arrived, they found his girlfriend, model and paralegal Reva Steenkamp, dead, shot 4 times in the bathroom. Pistorius claimed that he had shot her, but said that he mistook her for an intruder and shot her through the door, killing her. Pistorius'
through the bathroom door?
Through the bathroom door. Yeah,
because that's what intruders do. They get into the house.
They go straight to the bathroom. Like, like they're like, I gotta
before I go through the house and ransack the place.
I need to empty my bladder before I do a home invasion. Like,
let me make myself comfortable and stretch out.
Ooh, a bidet. So Pistorius' trial started over a year later in March of 2014. The courts immediately adjourned to give psychiatrists time to evaluate Pistorius and make sure he was competent to stand trial. By June, they had determined that Pistorius did not suffer mental illness and was fit to stand trial. A month-long trial ensued, with the defense closing its case on July 8th and final arguments being heard a month thereafter. Then, on September 12th, 2014, Pistorius was found guilty of a lesser charge of a type of murder known as culpable homicide, which is a South African and like something that appears in like British countries or countries with like the British legal system. It's an offense that is somewhere in the ballpark of manslaughter. It's not like...
Yeah, I was going to say, it's their version of manslaughter.
Yeah, basically. It's not. It's like non-premeditated murder. It's like, yes, you did kill this person,
right?
But it wasn't like completely of your own volition and you didn't pre-plan it. So on October 21st of 2014, Pistorius received a sentence of a maximum of 5 years and a concurrent 3-year sentence for a separate endangerment conviction, where he like apparently fired a gun out of a sunroof or something like that. I'm not sure. So Pistorius didn't spend a ton of time in prison, though. In June of 2015, he was recommended for early release and was released to house arrest on August of 2015, having served just 1/6 of his sentence.
What was the reasoning? Is there any detail on this?
The judge didn't think he was a flight risk, and apparently in South Africa, you only have to serve 1/6 of your sentence before you're eligible for parole. I don't know why they didn't think he was a flight risk. He's fast, like he can, he can run.
He didn't have the blades with him in the prison.
I guess not. So, despite his release, Pistorius could not re-enter sports competitions until his entire 5-year sentence had been served. And if you know anything about like the longevity of like track runners, this is pretty much a death sentence to his career. Especially since he can't get out and like be in practice during that time because he's still under like house arrest. He's still not really allowed to go anywhere. You know, he's not allowed to like go within like 20 kilometers of his place of residence. And so he can't like get out there to like really run on a professional track or anything like that.
It'd be weird to see him at the competition though, and to like the reaction from the other competitors would be interesting to pick up in a time like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, at the last minute, a justice minister blocked his release for that August, but he was eventually let out in October of that same year. However, that was not the end of the road for Oscar. Soon after his trial had wrapped, the prosecution appealed the case, because apparently you can do that in South Africa and it's not double jeopardy, arguing that the original judge of the case had an error in judgment in clearing Pistorius from initially shooting Steenkamp, or intentionally shooting Steenkamp, sorry. This motion was allowed, and in September of 2015, the prosecution once again filed against Pistorius, this time for murder. After a brief... Sorry?
I just said snap.
Oh, yeah.
I'm giving you reactions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Snap. Oh, man. Oof.
So
wow.
After a brief trial in December of 2015, Pistorius had his culpable homicide verdict overturned, and he was charged with actual murder. In July of 2016, Pistorius was sentenced to 6 years in prison for murder, which was eventually increased to 15 years by the South African Supreme Court. So he went from being like released on home release to getting 15 years by a series of court decisions, which is like, I don't think this could ever happen in America. I think this would fall directly under double jeopardy. But yeah, that kind of threw me for a loop. I didn't know there was legal systems that could just do that and have the prosecution appeal the case, because it's usually the other way around.
It is unexpected, and it is one of those like, him getting out after only serving a year of his sentence felt so rich privilege compared to other offenders.
Yes.
So it's interesting, and it feels like they're noting that justice isn't done with this guy yet. Mm-hmm. But I'm also not a huge fan of longer sentences, like 15 years.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I do firmly believe that the justice system should be a system of no takebacks.
No takebacks.
No takebacks. Like, no, you gave me that sentence. That's the sentence I got.
Yeah.
No takebacks. It's not fair.
Yeah. Like if they give you another sentence, it should only be able to be shorter.
Yes, exactly. 100%. So,
unless new evidence is introduced, maybe they do it. I don't know. Anyway, continue.
So let's talk a little bit about Pistorius' life behind bars. So,
ooh, that's meat.
Initially, it wasn't easy. His first year back behind bars after he was sentenced for murder was at the Gosi Mampuru 2 maximum security prison. But with his money, Pistorius made it through relatively unharmed by making deals with prison gangs for protection, along with receiving housing in a hospital wing of the prison due to his disability. After a year at the facility, Pistorius was moved to Adarejaville, which was a prison set up a lot better for his disability, with much more modern medical devices and facilities. There, he enjoyed a much more relaxed atmosphere and was allowed to even grow his own food in the gardens out of fear that they were trying to poison him with their food there. But it wasn't all roses. In 2017, Pistorius got into a reported brawl with another inmate over the use of a public phone. Pistorius was the only person injured in the fight. So, within
if he started it.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say who started it, but he was just part of a fight over a phone and got hurt. So, Within a year of the incident, Pistorius turned a new corner and gained a reputation for becoming a spiritual leader in prison.
What does that mean?
He became the leader of a Bible group study and over time became known as a model prisoner. During this time, Pistorius received a visit from Steenkamp's father looking for answers about his daughter's murder. But Pistorius stuck to his story, claiming that he believed her the entire time to be an intruder, which, I don't know. Steenkamp's father said, quote, "I told Oscar directly that he had shot my daughter deliberately, but he denied it. He stuck to his story that he thought it was an intruder."
Out of curiosity, do we have any motive here for the murder of his girlfriend?
Yeah, there was some stuff. Apparently they had been arguing and stuff, and like the neighbors could hear it and things like that, but there wasn't like definitive proof. Like he didn't, leave a trail of evidence or anything like that. It's just like very suspicious that like you'd be arguing with, your live-in girlfriend and then just think they're an intruder and shoot them 4 times through a door.
Yeah, a lot of circumstantial evidence, plus his confession that he did it in the first place.
Yeah.
Nothing really seems to add up very well.
No, nothing. Like I read through like the whole like trial and everything, and I was like, I can't really make like heads or tails of this. I don't see why they initially charged him with not murder. Like, because this just seems like clear murder.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. But the father's quote continues. This is, once again, Steenkamp's father. So he said, after all these years, we are still waiting for Pistorius to admit he did it in anger. This is all we wanted. If he told me the truth, he would have been a free man by now, and I would have let the law take its course over his parole. But I was wasting my time. He is a murderer. He should remain in jail. It's a pretty heavy indictment there from Dad.
It is. Yeah. It's one of those things we haven't really talked about it on this podcast. Victim statements. Eric, how do you feel about victim statements and how they can affect like sentencing?
Well, I'd say before they'd have a big impact on. But I think with the truth in sentencing bill, even the judges have had the power of sentencing taken from them, and that's now in the DA's hand based on what the charge is in a lot of places. But
right, hands tied, depending on locale.
Now, maybe with the enhancements that judges can use, say, oh, well, yeah, you were, this crime was committed within 1,000 feet of a school. So based on a victim statement, I'm going to add on the 6 more years or whatever, because you used a gun, whatever. But I do think it's a really important part of the CJ process, because I think all too often we leave the victims out of this process, and prosecutors forget about, hey, this is about the victim here and them getting justice for what happened. So I'm in full support of victim statements.
Sure.
I think they're an important piece.
I'm in support as long as they don't affect the sentence itself. The idea of like emotional statements affecting policy. I'm distraught because I lost a loved one or I was harmed or something, and that emotion should not affect the length of someone's sentence. Like that. It all. In that case, it's like luck of the draw and who the victim is, if they are more punitive or not, and that doesn't make any sense to have.
Not just punitive, but if they're able to like elucidate the harm that was caused to them, like if someone is like eloquent in a way that is able to like move people, it's going to be a lot more effective and emotionally impactful. Which I don't know if we should go for emotional impact when it comes to like court cases and like deciding people's fate with the law.
Totally, we need the law to be more like cut and dry. Not necessarily like one size fits all, but also not taking into like anytime you take like emotion into account with policy, it makes for just bullshit policy. So maybe we don't.
Yeah. So, the victim's father wants Oscar to remain in jail, but he did not remain in jail. As in March 2023, it was announced that Pistorius would be considered for parole that year, and was granted it later that year in November. So Pistorius is now a slightly more free man, reportedly living with his uncle, wearing an ankle monitor that will only let him travel 20 kilometers away from his uncle's house between the hours of 7 a.m. and noon, which I find to be very strange hours to let him free.
Yeah, right.
The 5-hour window, like during like early morning rush hour, like they're just like, no, you can go places, but
in South Africa,
you have to get stuck in traffic if you're going anywhere. Like
nobody's ever murdered anyone between those hours.
No,
you don't. I think that's safe.
No, it's too early for murder. That's coffee time. Like, he also has to abstain from alcohol and check in regularly with his parole agents, and that is where Oscar Pistorius is today.
His 5-hour windows, running career probably at an end.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine he can't be endorsed anymore by anybody.
I don't think anyone wants to sponsor him. So he was, the sponsors dropped him, like all of them, immediately after his conviction or after his initial charging. So, you know, he lost out on that. He's probably not doing too well. I don't know what kind of careers are really set up for a former Olympic or Paralympic runner. Like, he had dedicated his life to a thing that he can't really do anymore. And I assume he probably
leave the house 5 hours a day.
Right, and I assume he probably spent like all of his money on the trial trying to defend himself, but who knows? But yeah.
Well, we hope he's a changed man. If you're out there, Oscar, listening to this podcast, I know he's a dedicated listener.
Definitely.
We hope that you've changed your ways.
Between noon and 7 a.m. the next day, he's got plenty of time to sit and listen to us.
All right, thank you, Brit. That was magical,
Yes,
baby,
was.
magical.
Definitely
and
magical.
My pleasure.
I'm left like, hopeful that he's changed and he's a spiritual leader in prison. Maybe he took the opportunity to turn his life around. I can be hopeful when it comes to that. How are you two feeling about this guy at this point?
I think he definitely killed his girlfriend in cold blood. Either that or he's
no doubt
the dumbest man alive. Like,
they're not mutually exclusive.
That's true. That's true. I can't see another way. After looking through the evidence of him like shooting his girlfriend 4 times through the door, like, why would you assume it's an intruder? There's so many questions I have about this that are just never going to be answered because they don't make any sense.
No, it's like bang, bang, bang. Hey, babe, is that you in the bathroom?
Right.
Oh, okay, cool. Like that. That's all it really took.
She's doing like her Sean Connery impression. She's like, "Oh, it's me, Sean Connery," and he's like, "Bang, bang, bang, bang! Get out of my house, Sean Connery!"
He thought he murdered Sean Connery.
Yeah, that makes it okay then.
Yeah, it's a sad tale. Eric, reflect. What do you think?
It's just it's another one of those situations. Just much like Aaron Hernandez, here's people who had all kinds of talent, in a sport, where they were revered, and they just. Now, obviously, Aaron Hernandez was one where his was just a series of crimes, and it just finally caught up to him. Yeah,
over and over. Yeah, spiraling even and stacking on top of one another.
Right, and then the Blade Runner here is different because for the most part, as far as we know, there wasn't this was out of character for him. We don't know that he's murdered a lot of people. It's I often tell my students my best inmates were those individuals who hadn't committed crime and then murdered someone. They were the ones they were the rule followers inside the institutions. They were the ones that were working on trying to improve themselves, get out. That was their big crime that they've committed in their life. It wasn't like, some inmates that come in and they're drug dealers and they got a bunch of assaults and, where they have that lifestyle, that criminal lifestyle that they've been following. And, they tended to be often, very anti-authority. And because you were on the staff, you represented authority to them, where the murderers, the folks who were the murderers, that one crime, typically brought on by rage, that screwed up those folks' lives, but it didn't define them as individuals. You know what I mean? They didn't see themselves as, hey, this is who I am. Whereas a lot of the career criminal types, I'm a drug dealer. I'm whatever. I'm Billy Badass out on the street. So just, it's a different type of personality, it seemed. But
yeah, they're not ingrained in the criminal lifestyle.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, it just seems like, as we'd expect, man, that, this guy went into a rage and he solved the conflict with violence, like all too many people do.
Yeah, I guess I am thankful he didn't stab his girlfriend, so we would have had like New York Post headlines about Blade Runner trying to make a pun on Blade.
Oh no! Well, that happened when he got bumped from the Cape Town newspaper. I remember seeing this on ESPN. Says, whatever governing body cuts down the Blade Runner, and you're just like, oh, come on, don't say that. Don't say that.
It's so expected of media.
It was just front page of the paper. That's what it said. So and so cuts down the Blade Runner. Like, oh, geez. And this was him getting banned from an event early on before he had murdered someone. But you're just like, some of these folks in print media just cannot help themselves. If they can see an opening for some kind of pun that just writes something ridiculous, they're going to do it.
It's an attention grabber. Sure.
Yeah.
I understand it. I just don't like it. All right, then let's move on to our favorite segment. Hit it.
Oh, yeah.
Movie minute. Movie minute. 60 seconds with Producer Brit to talk about movies.
Gosh, do I have to write this entire podcast today?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just carrying our asses.
Unfair. So, last week, Judge Strah sentenced me to watch 1981's Southern Comfort. Unfortunately, I misunderstood the assignment and bought a bottle of Southern Comfort from 1981 and consumed that instead. So I didn't write anything that makes any sense. So Southern Comfort is a thriller from 1981, written, directed, and produced by Walter Hill, maybe best known for writing and directing 1979's The Warriors.
Air horn here.
So the film centers around a group of National Guardsmen sent out on a training mission in the bayous of Louisiana. The men steal some canoes from some local Cajuns, and after foolishly firing some blanks at them, are mercilessly hunted down around the swamps and picked off one by one. Although often compared to Deliverance, which came out some 9 years prior and was far more critically acclaimed, I think I might have actually preferred this film.
Yes!
Instead of being a slow and understated thriller about good guys fighting back, this movie's pacing is a lot more rapid fire, and I think is really elevated by the acting performances of Keith Carradine and Powers Booth, and is ultimately more about men trying to escape rather than enact revenge against the local populace. So ultimately, I liked this film a whole lot. The characters were distinct, the writing was good, the pacing was fluid, and the concept was solid. I enjoyed it a lot and would recommend it. 3.5 out of 5 soups.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good review there. I mean, that's a solid movie. Solid review.
Especially
My
from
goodness.
1981. Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah.
Dude, the movie rules. I watched it a few weeks ago. The characterizations, like you understand who the characters are in a very short amount of time, and the action, it's just constantly going. It really hooked me in. I've been watching through Walter Hill's filmography, and I like a lot of what he has to put out there.
Yeah, I can dig it.
That's interesting because I remember watching it a while ago, but I it's funny because it just I think it was one of those ones that at the time I was distracted by something. Who knows what the shiny object was, whether it was a squirrel or
A child
or something. No, this was I mean, this is going back a while, but I don't remember being that drawn in. It makes me want to go watch it now.
That was good.
Worth another look, friendo.
Recommendo. So what you got for me next week?
Bronson, you take it. It's your turn.
All right. So this one's a little bit different, but I think it's one that you might. I'm not being mean here. Prisoner's Daughter.
All right.
Prisoner's Daughter.
What year?
2022.
This one keeps popping up on Hulu for me. Hulu keeps trying
really?
to recommend it to me. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, but it is. I don't know if it was a major release or straight to Hulu, but it is.
I don't know.
Out there.
But yeah, so we'll see what you think there.
Oh yeah, into it.
Have you seen this one yet, Eric?
Yeah. Watched it 2 years ago, I think, because I watched it not long after it came out, and I was looking for something that was, hey, where can I really, try and drive, bring in some examples of, what it's like for family on the outside.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would fulfill that, but because Hollywood gets in the way of itself sometimes, but it's got a decent story.
All right. Curious to see what
the
producer thinks. And I think that is that, my friends. I do want to plug Roger Williams School of Justice Studies one more time. Thank you for being our delightful patron. Anything else?
I got nada.
Yeah, I
Producer
think we're
Brit?
good here. No, that's it from me. I think it's time for some lights out.
Lights out.
Lights out! Lights out!